morning, friends. It's day one of Summerween. If you can't tell, this is definitely not my view. This is the view I paid someone else to experience. It's currently low tide, so there's people out on the beach, which is going to include us in just a moment. And then we're waiting for high tide later today to do like kayaking and paddleboarding. So you're catching us on the tail end of our vacation. We have been out for many days. This is crooked. And Summerween happens to be starting while on vacation. So I have brought my Summerween TBR with me everywhere we have been. This has come with me on 3 different ferries. I've taken its picture everywhere we've been. We went to this cute little resort. I took a picture there. It probably didn't turn out very well. Don't mind Rob trying to figure out the coffee machine behind me. You might recognize this place if you've been following me for like a year plus, because we were here last year as well. I thought that was someone opening a door. I thought someone was walking in. Why does the microwave open automatically? Anyway, since we're on Vancouver Island, I figured an island book would be the perfect way to kick off Summerween. And then also every day this week, I'm gonna be reading a story from this. And I just feel like this color combination is kind of iconic. Look who blurbed this one.
Dead 11? R.L. Stein. Goosebumps.
I feel like it's gonna be Goosebumps for adults, which that descriptor, yes, it is horror. But it's like campy, like silly, like wacky horror. I feel like that descriptor could go in a good way or a bad way. I have read many books that I feel like I described as Goosebumps for adults. But today's the day of the vacation that we decided we're not leaving our spot. We're not going out into town. We're not going anywhere. We're just staying here, which means I feel like I can probably read an entire book today because we're just gonna be relaxing. I'm planning on putting my chair out on the water and Liam is going to paddleboard and I'm just gonna read this. Maybe with a little beverage, my umbrella. We actually just bought loungy beach chairs or like camping chairs and decided to bring them on vacation with us. So they're right there and we're just gonna bring them all the way down to the beach. Don't mind the yard. I guess they are replanting the grass. There was just a man out here digging. I hope he's gone. But yeah, I read the first chapter of this in the first video for Summerween and it started out really weird. This guy is going to an island where his sister went missing and he's trying to figure out where she went, what happened, and is just getting to know all the people probably in the town. And then every chapter seems to be from like a different perspective of somebody who lives there and how they're obsessed with it being 1994. Like, it's like they acknowledge that things like technology has advanced, but on their small little island, they pretend that it doesn't. Like, they aren't allowed to touch cell phones. They have all of these rules that they're supposed to stick by. So it's culty commune vibes for sure. But I do think it still fits into the thriller vibe because this woman is missing and we're trying to figure it out. And maybe the town is gonna come after this man. What's his name? Clifford? No, the Clifford is the island. Harper comes and maybe he's gonna be in danger trying to track down Willow. Oh, and literally the only complaint we had here last time was there was these like rickety steps that were really hard to get down. And since then they've built these beautiful, huge rock ones. So it's so much easier to bring the paddleboard down, you know? We made it out to the sand. There's our house. So the first chapter, like I told you, was about this old woman and she's so determined and committed to recreating the same day over and over again because it's like a Groundhog Day scenario. That's what the town believes is happening, that they're stuck in the same day, so they have to do the same routines. There's a woman who has a best friend who dies at the beginning and she is determined to recreate the day. So she takes her friend and does questionable things with her dead body. And then we're getting flashbacks to Willow before she went missing, her life before coming to the island, why she came to the island, and she is just noticing for the first time that the day is recreating itself, that everybody is watching the same TV show, the same episode every single day. Then another perspective I just read was Lily, who's in high school. She's on the basketball team. And I guess she's one of the people who had a connection with Willow before she went missing. I just don't know if it's actually gonna go in like a paranormal, supernatural direction, like if that's what it's already telling me, like the day is actually repeating itself, or if it's just in everybody's minds. And obviously I'm not gonna spoil that by the end, but that's where I'm at so far with the story. And hopefully you could hear me because I have my little fuzzy microphone protector on, but maybe I had to voice over this whole clip. I don't know, but it's beautiful out here. The boys are coming at me very fast. It looks like Liam's holding something. Usually he collects crabs and sea stars and then puts them back. What did you bring me?
Carol!
A what? Harold? Yeah. It looks like a rock. What is
You saved them.
It's Harold. No, I'm scared. What is it?
I don't know.
Some kind of clammy thing?
Yeah.
So
but
it
it's
curls
soft.
on itself?
Yeah.
Okay, fun fact, I'm in the exact same place I was last time I updated you, standing out on the beach, but now the water is so high that I'm floating. I look like I'm in the middle of nowhere from this angle. The lamp's here too. And I just realized I forgot my little microphone thing, so you probably can't hear me as well as I would like anyway at this point. My update at halfway in is I got my book a little bit wet. That's pretty much it. I'm liking it as much as I was, almost as much as I was at the beginning. I'm getting a lot of perspectives, a lot of backstory. There's a bunch of people who died naturally, maybe the dead 11. It's a mystery involving them or curses or some kind of lore. It hasn't felt especially scary, and the intrigue is like at the same point as it was at the beginning. The sun is setting, the day is ending. I'm about to go in the hot tub. I just fell asleep. I finished the book and then I fell asleep for like 10 minutes. Dead 11 is a 436 page book that feels like a 436 page book. It's definitely warranted at this length, but the 100 more pages than it has than the average horror book should have been spent doing different things than it did, because it just started repeating itself. There were certain characters and certain conversations and certain learnings that we had multiple times through different characters' eyes. And I just feel like once we got a kind of explanation, that was maybe, I don't really remember, halfway through, a little past halfway through. And then there was a couple anxiety inducing moments for sure for the reader, which is fun. But at that point, it really needed to wrap up or introduce some more like creepy, unsettling things than it did, because it started to drag for sure. This was not a 5-star for me. It was close and it could have been a 5, which is what hurts so much because I haven't given out a 5-star to a horror book this year and things have not changed. But it's upsetting when I know that it could have been a 5. If it just did a couple things differently, this could have been an all-time favorite horror because I really like the answer to everything. All the characters are so vivid. I like the mixed media element of it all. There's a character named Kayla. And it's fun because it has that nostalgic vibe that I love. I love reading books set in the 80s and 90s. This one wasn't set in the 90s, but the characters were acting like it was. And so it has that nostalgia, but it's not set then, which is just so fun. There were certain moments, I think pacing wise, that it's not just that it repeated things, it's that you got left on cliffhangers that didn't seem like it was for a good reason. This isn't the kind of book that you, or for me, this isn't the kind of book I could forget that I was reading a book. Like I didn't feel fully immersed in it, though I'm still giving it a 4-star. Like I really did like it. I just can't tell you any of the reasons that I did like it because they're spoilers. Like you find out something halfway through and then anything that I liked and anything I would want to talk about relates to that thing. So I don't want to harp on the thing that I didn't like. It was both familiar and original in my opinion. Like I've never read something quite like this. I'm gonna read a story from the Sliver, whatever it's called, A Sliver into Darkness or whatever, but I'm gonna do that by lamplight as I'm going off to sleep. So I'll update you with that tomorrow. We are currently collecting a rock from every beach we go to. So we stop like at every beachfront we see this trip, and that's been really fun. If you watched a video I did recently, we were collecting them for like just our local beach. And I said that I was gonna take a little jar on every little trip we take. And so that's what this one is. But it ended up being more shells. And I need to take these home and like clean them properly. And I would grab more rocks, but they're not particularly unique compared to the ones at home, except being like super extra smooth. So the one that we just found today is just another smooth one. I've been keeping an eye out for sea glass, but you know, we're not in the right area for sea glass, but I thought maybe I would find a little bit. I have not. And we aren't going anywhere else on the island that would be more conducive to that, like the west coast. So we'll see if I find anything more unique to fill up this jar. I think tomorrow we're gonna spend the day out like on the town, just on the pier. So I don't know how much I'll be able to check in with you. Also, am I still planning on completing an entire book a day? I don't know, but I will start The Haunting of Alejandro tomorrow. I think I brought that one with me. And so for the first day of Summerween, the Instagram challenge is to post your TBR. So there's that, because I also posted my TBR video and this photo accompanied it. It's not my entire TBR, but it's all the ones that I was choosing between. And then for a reading challenge, did I complete anything? Okay, read a book that takes place in the fall. I was wondering if this would do that, because it says it's like November or December when our main character goes missing, December 14th. But then it goes like 20 weeks before she went missing, 24 days before she goes missing. So I think we definitively have been in fall for a portion of this for sure. So I'm gonna count that just in case it doesn't happen in any other books. And I don't think that I can consider this a thriller in good faith. I just don't think so. But that may mean I don't read a thriller for this entire week-long readathon when the whole goal is to read thrillers. I'm leaning much more odd horror. So we'll see if I can write that wrong by the end, or if you want to count this a thriller book if you've read it, let me know in the comments below. All right, so I knew that I probably wouldn't update you very much on day 2, but I didn't know it would be this bad. It is 10:30 at night. It's dark. Okay, well, that's spooky. I did read today though, and I'm doing the challenge of reading in the dark because I started the audiobook of The Haunting of Alejandra about an hour ago. So I'm an hour into the audiobook, but it sounds good listening to it at like 2.5. So I'm actually exactly at the 50% mark. Then last night I did read another story. Sorry, the shadows on the ceiling just freaked me out. I did read another story from the short story collection. The first one had to do, I read it in the first episode of Building My TBR. It had to do with like COVID and a cruise ship and people living on it and figuring out like what's real about this cruise ship and everybody living on it and whatever. And I think I would give that one a 4 out of 5. And then the one that I read last night was like a real haunted house story. I don't remember it really vividly now, but I remember it was actually unsettling. For a short story, it actually had the haunted house vibes that I have been looking for. I don't think I'm gonna get to a third story today because I'm still doing this and I really want to do it all in the dark so I follow the prompt correctly. But today's Instagram prompt was the colors of candy corn. That's what the inspo was meant to be. And so before I went on vacation, I made sure to prepare and I organized my bookshelf as the colors of candy corn, and it was really fun. This is the book that I pre-selected for an audiobook option because I want to be able to listen to something. That was my plan or my vacation time, because I thought that would be easier to get into than reading physically, especially today because today was just busy. We went on 2 different hikes and then we went to the river and then we went kayaking because we leave tomorrow. We went and had dinner and we just like hung out and did things. Everything that Liam wanted to do today. Because I pre-selected it as the audiobook, like that was already the decision that I made, but I would probably recommend reading it physically. I wish that the audiobook was different narrators because I think it's easy to forget like halfway through a chapter whose perspective you're reading from. So we do have our main woman, Alejandra, and she's this exhausted mother. Her husband is like taking care of her and trying to support her, but is also just like shitty at the same time. And she's responsible for childcare and cooking and cleaning, and it's just like thrust upon her. She doesn't really have any other options, but she wants to make a life for herself that she enjoys. But what's happening right now is she's hearing voices and being haunted by things telling her that she's a terrible mother, that she's a terrible person, that she should take her own life, that she'll never get anywhere, that she doesn't deserve to live, etc. And then in between all of her chapters, we're getting different people from her family line. So we had Atsi in Mexico, and I thought maybe it would be like just dual timeline, dual narrator. But every single time we visited somewhere else, someone else, we've got Francis, got Kathy, and they're all experiencing their own hardships. All of them are pretty much revolved around when they are having children and what they're dealing with their partners, or why they put their child up for adoption, how they got pregnant really young, etc. And a lot of them, I think the point is that they all have something connected to them and Alejandra herself. And it's like this circle of women that she needs to call upon in order to make this haunting stop. That's what I think is happening at the halfway mark. But because so many of these women are in the same situation intentionally, like that's what the book is about, I feel like because it's the same narrator the whole time, halfway through Francis's chapter, I'm like, who are we reading from? So that just means I need to pay extra close attention. Hello, it is day 3 of Summerween. It's a travel day and a packing day, an unpacking day, and then a packing day so we can go camping tomorrow. So not much reading is gonna be done at all, and I wasn't planning on vlogging at all, but I finished this late last night, so I needed to update you now. The Haunting of Alejandra, I'm giving a 4-star. Now, I've read a few short stories and novels inspired by La Llorona. And so I don't know enough to know like what the origin, what the original lore story is, because I'm reading so many different ideas from other authors, and it's like what has been inspired versus what is original. So at the end of this, I'd have to say, like, I was surprised by the ending. I wasn't expecting it. I don't know if I shouldn't have been surprised, but I just thought the ending of this was so beautiful. Definitely once I paid attention more, it is easy to distinguish whose perspective you're in. I was just in vacation world, and I did come to appreciate all of the other perspectives because everything is tied together, obviously, and you're reading about the generations of this family and mostly their birth and how it's affected them, the lives that they've been able to have, the things that haven't been available to them. This dates all the way back to like 1616 in Mexico, and I would recommend it most to people who like dark fairy tales in a modern setting. It's not horror, it's not a thriller, but I think it still definitely fits in the theme of Summerween, and there was some chilling moments for sure. And I think the takeaway is just like the power of family. You especially follow Alejandra current day when she's reconnecting with her birth mother and the power that they create together, and her getting out of her current situation and finding the love for her children and the love for herself through connecting with her roots. And I just thought it was really well done, and that's that. Today was a great start to our day. We went to this place called Fufu that Liam found on TikTok like a year ago, and he wanted to go so bad, but their reservations were so booked. And it's just like these souffle pancakes. They were so incredibly delicious. And then we went to the Lego store. What else did we do? Oh, we finished filling up the ocean jar, and now we got to get home and prepare for our next trip. So day 3 is pretty much a wash, but I will see you for a vlog for day 4 and 5 combined. This was 1 and 2 mostly. I hope your reading is going well, and I'll see you in a couple more days.